Hello and welcome to Recalibrating with me, Sharee Johnson, where you'll hear healthcare professionals and others sharing their stories of recalibrating life when the unexpected happened. Life is full of opportunities to recalibrate with agency, the right mindset, the right resources, and the right community. Hello and welcome to Recalibrating with Sharee Johnson, a solo episode today. I want to talk briefly about the impact of awe, inspiration, and joy on our well-being. And particularly having just been at Uluru a couple of weeks ago for our Heart of Medicine gathering, it's been so resonant with me and with many of the people who were there who keep sending messages telling us about the impact of that gathering on their well-being. It seems really valuable to savor these experiences of awe, inspiration, joy, connection, kindness, a feeling of community, that these are things that can recalibrate, can help us balance out all of the things that go on in healthcare that are contrary to that. The Heart of Medicine was created with the intention that people could gather together in a really beautiful, inspiring place to talk about the things that they were doing as heart-led medics. So people who were in touch with emotions, who were recognizing that the art of medicine was the enabler of the science of medicine, people who were looking to practice human-centric healthcare, and people who were involved in wellbeing initiatives. It was very obvious to me in the day-to-day of my work that there were lots and lots of people who were doing work to try and facilitate the well-being of their colleagues, often with a well-being title, particularly in a hospital. There might be the well-being person for their department, very often with no budget, very often with no clinical support time, but this label, and really wanting to do something to support and help the people that they were working with, their colleagues, to be well, even though they work in the face of human suffering every day in healthcare. I was really aware that there were lots of these people all around who were feeling isolated and who were feeling like I'm the only one and nobody else cares about well-being, or nobody else cares about the art of medicine. So the idea really was, let's bring these people together so they can encourage each other, so they can feel inspired, so that they can know that they're not the only person doing this kind of work. But let's do it somewhere where the natural environment is also awe-inspiring. When we went to Uluru, we found that both of those things happened, and I'm really delighted to say that the feedback has been that being with other people who are interested in the heart of medicine, who are interested in community and connection and love, even as something that we would talk about in health, has really spurred me on to keep going in the work that I'm doing and to go further. And since people have gone home, we've heard stories with words that we don't hear in medicine, words like magic, words like spirit and soul, where people have felt uplifted in these ways that have gone beyond the practical protocols and programs that they might be trying to deliver in their healthcare system, to feel validated as humans and to feel like they're part of, they belong to a group that believes things can be helped through human connection in healthcare. When people feel this sense of awe, it's being amazed by something. And of course, there are hundreds of opportunities every day in healthcare to be amazed by something. We can be amazed by modern science and technology and how that can help us in the face of disease and dysfunction in humans. We can be amazed by our patients and what they are able to be resilient to, and how they can respond and heal. And we can also be amazed by our colleagues. We can be amazed by our colleagues' persistence, their insight, their diagnostic skill. There are many, many things in healthcare that we can be amazed by, in awe of, every day of the week. But we become so busy, we're working under time pressure with not enough resources, with a political landscape that feels like it's threatening or preventing or diminishing what we can do in terms of healthcare. We're dealing with things like EBAs and mortgages and grants that are running out and vacancies that nobody can fill and rosters that are inadequate or make people's life difficult. And so while we're dealing with all of that, we forget that we also have at the same time available to us this capacity for awe and in doing that, inspiring and encouraging each other. One of the things that we really were reminded so viscerally of while we were at Uluru is that there is opportunity for awe everywhere, and that we can also do some things to help us inject some awe or some inspiration, some compassion, some encouragement by taking ourselves to particular places or doing particular things. Going to a place that we might go to on holiday, or going to a convention or a conference or some other gathering with colleagues that take us away from the ordinary, can be a way of recalibrating. And being with each other over a meal can be a way of recalibrating. And when we're at work, taking a pause, just a single long, slow, deep breath, or feeling our feet on the floor, or enjoying the fact that we got half an hour today to have some lunch, or appreciating our colleague because of some skill they showed today or some kindness that they showed. All of these things can be awe-inducing and can help us recalibrate even in the thick of things. What we hope to do with the Heart of Medicine is to create more of these moments where people can come together and be in awe, remember and imagine what it's like to be in awe, because it's good for us. It's good for our immune system. It's good for our community. It's good for our souls. A lot of healthcare workers are in survival mode. And when we're in survival mode, it's very, very difficult. In fact, it might be impossible to be creative and to generate new ideas. Survival mode means that we are just doing what we need to do to stay alive. And our brains are always going to be very occupied with that first. So if your brain is occupied with survival mode, it doesn't have any capacity, it won't let you wander off and start generating and creating new ideas. People in survival mode simply don't have the space, the mental space, to do anything except survive. And healthcare doesn't look like changing in the short term, so we needn't expect, in general, that we're going to have lots of space and time when we're at work in healthcare to generate and create new things. However, if we can take ourselves somewhere else, to retreat, to workshops, to conferences, to gatherings like the Heart of Medicine, then we can generate and create in that space new ideas. And we can come back to our existing workplaces with those new ideas. But the ideas aren't enough. We need a community. We need other people who will encourage us, who will join with us as allies, who will bring collective action. And one of the things that happens at the Heart of Medicine is collective effervescence. Now, we thought that might just only last while we were there, but here we are more than 2 weeks out from the event, and people are only just getting started with their collaborations and their partnerships and sending messages nearly every day about how the collective effervescence is still with them and is still helping them generate new ideas. So I really want to invite you today to think about what happened that was awesome in your life, and not to take away from anything that was difficult or brought suffering or feels frustrating or insurmountable. Those things still exist. And we can put these other things beside those difficult things to help us recalibrate or rebalance. People who do really well in the world under difficult circumstances remember that they have choices and that they are empowered, that they have agency about their own life. It's true to say that sometimes things are happening well outside of our control and we cannot bring happiness. And there are many, many times that we can bring some balancer, something that helps us recalibrate. So my invitation to you today is to be curious, to just wonder to yourself, was there anything today in your sphere that could invoke awe? And could you spend 10 seconds savoring that thing? Did somebody do something in your presence that was really amazing? That when you pause and take time to notice, wow, that was really amazing how that student got their cannula in the first time. They must have been so chuffed about that. It was really amazing to come and open up my email box and find that there was only 5 emails to respond to. I can't remember the last time that happened. I felt so in awe of my team today. They were under so much pressure and they managed to do the work and be civil and kind to each other and to the patients. I'm really in awe of their ability to stay focused on what really matters. So my invitation today is to think about your space, the people and the things that are happening around you, and see if you can notice any awe, anything that might inspire you or somebody else, any small thing that generated some encouragement. One of the ways that we experience the world is in the world that we create. And as we create the world, we create each other. We are not separate to that extent. If I'm thinking about awe and I'm talking about awe, you have a different experience to if I'm talking about frustration. We're reciprocal in our development and in our growth, and we get to choose much more than we're practicing in healthcare a lot of the time. So that's enough. We'll be back with some guests again next week. If you liked this episode or any of the episodes of Recalibrating with Sharee Johnson, please hit the like button, share and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you next week. May you be well. The content in this podcast is not intended to constitute or be a substitute for professional medical or psychological advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your doctor or other qualified healthcare professional. This podcast represents the views of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect those of any entity we work with or for.